Hello everyone, hope you are doing good. My name is Bhagya Kudupudi, and in this session, let's understand what is automation testing and why do we perform automation testing, and let's have an introduction of Selenium. Okay, now if my mail ID is testingtrainer54 at the rate gmail.com, where you can contact me if you need any help with regards to your framework, or if you need any live classes, you can always contact me on my mail ID. Okay, now let's start with what is automation testing. In simple terms, automation testing will be performed using some framework or a tool. Okay, so whatever test cases that you are performing on a manual basis, that can be done using automation testing using some framework or a tool. Okay, but why we need to have the automation testing is like we have certain test cases which are regression test cases. These regression test cases are something which we do repeatedly whenever there is some bug fix or there is a feature implemented. Okay, so this is a testing which is done repeatedly multiple times. So instead of doing it manually again and again, it is always preferred to have a automation framework that is being designed and just run your script so that it will take less time for the execution of your regression test cases. Okay, not only that, it reduces the cost to the component. For suppose there are some thousand test cases and you need to perform on multiple browsers. So you need at least five or six manual testers to perform that, right? For the thousand test cases to be distributed around among these five testers to be performed on multiple browsers. But when you just take the automation framework, okay, so it can be executed easily even without the manual intervention. Sometimes what happens is like you will take some time for the framework designing itself, that's all. And for the execution part, you can just trigger the execution in a nightly manner. And before you just come to the company, the results will be ready so that once you enter your company the next day, you can just see the results and can understand what went well, what went wrong, and what are the defects that has been faced. That means you don't need any manual intervention, or you don't need to sit just before your system to just execute the test cases also. Okay, in some cases. Okay, in most of the cases, not some cases, in most of the cases, you will have to spend only the time in designing the framework, and you need only one or two people to design those framework. And once the designing of the framework is done, the execution is so simple, and you will have some test-ng framework which we'll be discussing. So in that test-ng framework, you can also run your test cases parallelly on multiple browsers, so it takes less time for the execution. Okay, and it maintains the accuracy. So if you just observe, we are the human beings, so we might commit some mistakes, but as this is a system or a framework, it is less prone to any committing of the mistakes, and it maintains the accuracy. Okay, and it mentions like it is used for finding the bugs and to maintain the quality. So not only automation testing, even for the manual testing, performance testing, we want to make sure that the quality of the system or an application is maintained, right? So we test for maintaining the quality and to find the defects so that the product that we are going to deliver to the customer is a quality product without any major defects, right? So it is the same thing that we do with the automation testing also. Okay, So let's understand what is Selenium. Selenium is an open source automation testing framework which is used for the web application testing. So, Selenium is an open source. Open source is nothing but you can download and install. You can't install because that is not a tool. You can download and use this particular Selenium without paying any license cost. Okay, it is available with free of cost. That is nothing but the open source. Okay, and if you just observe, we don't say Selenium as a tool. Why we don't say as a tool and what is the format of Selenium we will discuss in some time. Okay, and why it is called a framework, API, or a library rather than just mentioning as a tool. We will see it in some time. And if you just observe, Selenium is only for the web application testing. Okay, so let's have a note. Let's have a new notepad. And so we understood that Selenium is an open source framework for web application testing. Mhm. So, what are the other applications that are available in the market? Let's understand first. So, one application that we will be testing even manually is application, web application, where Selenium can also be used. And what are the other applications? We have desktop applications, we have mobile applications, okay, database applications, and API related or the web services. Okay, so only Selenium comes over here for testing the web applications. But what do we do if we want to test these kind of applications? So, do you know any tool or a framework to test desktop applications? So, we have a tool called HP QTP, or we can just say QTP or UFT. Actually, QTP is the first name that is given by the Mercury company, and later HP has acquired that particular tool and changed the name to UFT. Okay, so this is, you can say QTP or UFT, anything is the same. Okay, and for the mobile application testing, we have APM, and this QTP UFT can also be used for the web application testing. Okay, for the database applications, we have many tools like Oracle, MySQL Server, MySQL SQL Server, MongoDB, and so on. We have many tools for database applications testing, and for the API, we have Postman for the manual testing, and we have Rest Assured for doing the automation testing. Okay, so if you just observe, Selenium only comes in the web application testing. But why is it Selenium so famous when compared to other open source tools? One of the advantages, it is open source, but that is not only advantage why the people were using Selenium in the market. It can be open source, but it has many other features like it supports different programming languages. Okay. What are the programming languages like Java, C Sharp, Python, Ruby, PHP, and each and every programming language that you know are supported using Selenium. Okay, and it supports different platforms. Sorry, it supports different platforms. What are the platforms that we know? We know Windows, Mac, Linux, Solaris, even Android, iOS. All these platforms were supported using Selenium. Okay, and as it is a web application framework. Okay, so it supports different browsers also. So how many browsers are available in the market? All the browsers were supported by Selenium, like Chrome, IE, Firefox, Edge, Safari, Opera. All these browsers were supported by Selenium. So that is why Selenium is most popular automation framework. Even when you just go for manual testing jobs, the prerequisite that everybody is asking is, do you have any knowledge on Selenium? Okay, that is why we this particular Selenium has become more famous. And do you know when the Selenium is introduced in the market? It is introduced in the year of 2004, and still it is 20 years and still it is in great competitor, right? It is in great competition for other open source tools or the other frameworks. Okay. And it was introduced by Jason Huggins, and he is from ThoughtWorks company. Okay, ThoughtWorks company. And do you know how Selenium name has come into the market? The name Selenium is given because at that point of time, before Selenium has come into the market, the tool which is available in the market is QTP or UFT, and it is the tool which is owned by Mercury company. Okay, Mercury company owned this particular tool. And do you know where Mercury is present in the normal day to day lives? Mercury is present inside the thermometer. Okay. So for suppose if that particular thermometer has been broken, and if a person intakes that mercury, that person will be dead because it is a poisonous substance. Okay. So in order to make that person alive, the antidote that we give for mercury is selenium. Okay, antidote for mercury. So by this time, you might be understanding like why selenium the name has been given, because this particular selenium people want to be the competitor of this particular mercury company. So that's why they just gave the name as selenium, and to the greater extent they have been succeeded because QTP UFT is so less used these days, and Selenium is just occupied the market nowadays, right? So that is how the Selenium name has been given. And if you just observe from the beginning, I'm saying it's a framework, or you can say it's an API or a library. Okay, but it is not a tool. Okay, so what is the disadvantage of a tool? let's understand. If for suppose it is a tool like QTP or UFT, which is a tool will have limited features. So for suppose you will be provided with some 200 features. Okay. So you can automate only these 200 features. And if you want to automate something out of these features, you can't do that. That is the disadvantage of using a tool. Okay. And if you just observe QTP UFT, it is having some license cost. Okay. Nowadays, most of the clients wants to work on open source frameworks rather than investing more on the license cost, because even Selenium is a most powerful tool, and if you are getting that most powerful framework without paying any cost, then why do you just invest something for the license cost tools, right? So one of the disadvantages, it has limited features and it will have license cost. And you can, if you just download any tool, it will have some GB or some MB of memory. Okay. But if it is a framework, we will see how much size the Selenium downloaded file is. It will be in less than some 10 MB like that. Okay. So for now, let's understand what is an API. Okay. With a small example. Okay. What does an API mean? You might be thinking it's an application programming interface. That is the abbreviation for API. But the main feature, that what does that API does is it acts as a library which is having some classes, methods, interfaces inside it, so that you can use those classes into your current project, and you can automate your particular application. So in order to understand this properly, let's have a small example. Okay. So for suppose I am a Java developer, okay, who joined some XYZ company. Okay. And I was asked to create a calculator application. Okay. So what does a calculator features are? It will have some add functionality, subtract functionality, multiplication functionality, and the division functionality. These are the main functionalities that we come across a calculator. So if we want to design a project with a calculator application, what we do, we create a class calculator. Okay. And inside this class, we need to give this add, subtract, multiply, division, all of the features in the form of methods. Okay. So if I want to write a method for add, I can just say public void add, and I will write some code into this particular add functionality. Similarly, I can write some code into subtract for the division, for the multiplication. Let's rename this for the division. Okay. And if I want to call these particular methods, what should I do? I need to have something called main method created, and inside this main method, I should have an object created for this particular class. Okay. So what is my class? My class is calculator, and here I will have some reference variable followed by new calculator, which is a constructor. Okay. And using this reference variable, okay, I will just call the methods. like add method, subtract method, division, and the multiplication. Okay, so you might be wondering what is class, method, object creation, and everything. Don't worry as of now because I will be discussing all of these as a part of the Java training, which is covered in this particular sessions itself. In the Selenium session course itself, we have Java dedicated sessions. Okay, so for now, just understand as a concept. Don't worry on what is a class, method, and object creation and how to call these methods. Okay, just understand as a concept. Okay, so let's, and also, as I said, it's a construct. This is called a constructor. So you can also have like this the constructor created like public calculator. Okay, always remember constructor is something which will have same name as that of the class name. Okay, because my class name is calculator, you will have the same name for this particular constructor. Okay, I can write some code inside this constructor also. Okay, so how you call this constructor? It is not being called like this explicitly. You can just call it as a part of the object creation. This is called the object creation, and as a part of this object creation, here this is nothing but the constructor calling. Okay, so that is how you need to understand the basics. Let's mimic this particular code in our Eclipse. So what is Eclipse? Eclipse is one of the Eclipse. Okay, Eclipse is one of the IDE. Okay, just a minute, guys. So Eclipse is an IDE that is nothing but where you write your code. Okay, you can write the Java code, Python code, or any other code inside a Eclipse. Or we have many other IDEs like IntelliJ, Java Beans, and many more. Okay, out of which we will be concentrating on the Eclipse IDE. Okay, so in order to this particular IDE to work, the prerequisite is you need to have the Java installed on your machine. Okay, as we are working on Java, so you need to have Java installed on your machine. Okay, so let's first install Java, and remember Java has many versions in it. Okay, the latest version might be the let's see the latest version. The latest version is 21, but we are not going to install the 21 version. We will go with the Java 11, which is the most stable version. Okay, earlier it used to be Java 8, and later we just upgraded to Java 11, which is the most stable version. So, in order for all your Selenium programs to work, let's download and install Java 11 on our machine. Okay. In this session, I'm going to have a walkthrough like how you are able to install and download this Java and Eclipse, but clear step-by-step process is being designed or being already recorded inside your Java sessions. Okay, so let's see how you can Java, say Java 11 download inside your browser. Okay, so that as this Java is being owned by Oracle, it goes to a Oracle website. Okay, so here you will be finding the relevant files or the packages relevant to your operating system. So if you're working on Linux, you can just download these files. Otherwise, if you're working on Mac, you can go with this particular download. If you are working on Solaris, this is the download. As my machine is Windows, I can just go and download this particular version. Okay, and here you will ask to accept it. Just click on download. The the initial part that will ask you is it will ask you to sign in to the Oracle account, okay, in order for your Java to be downloaded. If you have an account, you just sign in. Otherwise, you can just create your account in the Oracle account and you can just sign in. Okay, I already have the account, so I'm just signing in so that it gets downloaded over here. Okay, see, it started the download. Okay, so I already have this JDK, that's why I'm just canceling this. Okay, in your case, you just need to download, and the installation part is so simple. It is similar to how you install the other softwares on your machine. Okay, if you are not understanding also how to download and install, the steps were being mentioned in the Java recordings. Okay, so if once your Java is being installed, you could just see inside your C program files, Java folder will be created, and here you could find the relevant JDK. As my Java version is 11, you could see JDK 11. Okay, now let's go with the Eclipse download. So go to Eclipse downloads, and here you will see direct download as well as download packages. Just click on download packages. See, Eclipse is something where you can write either the Java code, Python code, PHP code, C code, C++ code, anything can be written. Okay, but in our case, what we need is you want to write a Java code. So that's why what we do is we go to this Eclipse IDE for enterprise Java and web developers, and here based on your operating system, just install that particular software. Okay, and you can click on download. Okay, once you download this, you will have the Eclipse in this format. A zip file will be downloaded. Actually, a zip file will be downloaded, and if you just extract it, this the folder will be created like this. So after extraction, it you will be seeing this way, and here you will find the application file. You can just right click and click on open. If you don't want to go to this particular path every time, the shortcut is you can keep your Eclipse inside your desktop. Okay, so in order to do that, you can just say right click and say send to desktop create shortcut. Okay, if you just do that, your shortcut will be created here. Okay, and now let's create a new folder where we can save all our projects. Okay, let's say Selenium with Java. Okay, let's have this folder created, and here just click on Eclipse shortcut. Let's select this particular folder as a workspace where you want to save your projects. Okay, so just browse, and in my case it is a desktop Selenium with Java, and selecting this folder so that all your projects will be saved inside this particular workspace. Okay, just say launch. Okay, the very first screen that opens is a welcome screen. You can close this, and here this is called the project explorer. Okay, so here we can create a Java project, create a project, and here select a Java project, click on next. Let's give any name like calculator, and here as I said I am going to work with Java 11, so I just selected Java SE 11, and here just uncheck this particular module. Okay, you don't need this module info.java file to get generated, so that's why I'm just unchecking this. Okay, and click on finish. Okay, just keep this open perspective, and you could see the project has been created with a name as calculator. Okay, always remember, if you are going to create a project, just give the first letter as capital letter, uppercase letter. And if you just observe inside this particular project, we have a JRE system library which is relevant to the Java. Okay, Java will have multiple classes, interfaces, packages, and everything. So it is all relevant to Java. And here you could see one of the folder called SRC. Okay, inside SRC, you can create a new class. Okay, so before creating any class, you can create a package. What does a package mean is it is similar to the folders. Okay, so sorry. So for suppose I have given some files related to Java and some files related to Python. What do? Will you just keep all the files inside one single folder? You don't do that, right? You will just segregate. So for suppose I just kept APM files inside this and Zoom related files inside this particular folder. So I just segregated the content based on the folders, right? So in the similar way, you can segregate the classes inside your particular project, inside a package. Okay. So remember, package will have all the letters in the lower case. Okay, so for suppose I want to give first test. Okay, I should give all the letters in the lower case. That is a standard that is displayed in Java. Even if you are giving the uppercase letters, it won't give you any error, like it will accept as it is, but it is good to maintain the standards. Okay, so I will just say first test in lowercase. Okay, and say finish, so that a package gets created, and inside this let's have a sample class. Like any programming language, when you just work upon, we will start with hello world program. Let's start with the same. So if I want to print hello world as an output, let's see what can be done. So you can just select this particular checkbox which is having a main method. Okay, public static void main. If you just check this, what happens is like you will get a default method like this. This is called a main method. Only and only if you have this main method, you will see something called run as Java application. Okay, if you don't give this particular main method, you don't see an option to run. So earlier it displayed run as Java application, right? So here it is not displaying because you removed the main method. So it is always compulsory or mandatory to have a main method. Okay. Okay, this is a main method. So if you want to print something, we have a print statement which is called system dot out dot print ln. Okay, so inside this, whatever you just print inside the double quotes, for suppose I just give them in the double quotes as hello world. So that is going to be printed. Okay, you can just have this run button here, or you can just right click on this and say run as Java application. Anything is fine. Okay, and you could see on the console the hello world has been printed because you gave the text inside a double quotes as hello world. Okay, this is how you can print something onto your output. Okay, so now let's mimic the concept which we discussed in this particular example. Okay, so here I already have, I need to create a new class which is a calculator. Okay, I will give some main method, and now I need to have a constructor and the certain methods. Okay, let's have this. So let's think the constructor. Let's give a print statement stating this is a constructor. Okay, and inside the add methods also, I am not writing the actual logic. I am just going to print the statements for now because we just understood how to print something onto the console. So I'm just writing adding numbers. In similar way for the subtract, I'll just say subtract, and for the multiplication, multiply, and for the division, dividing numbers. And here how you can call these particular methods, how you can call these methods, you need to create an object. So how to create an object? You need to create like this and you can call in this particular manner. Okay, so if I just run this, if I just run this particular program, you could see first as I called the constructor over here and my constructor is having some code, it got executed that particular constructor, and then based on the method that you have called, it got executed adding, subtraction, division and multiplication. Okay, it got executed. Okay, so now what I want to do is like I want to export this particular project so that it will be available to the public as an open source project. So this is my project, right? So what I want to do is like I want to export this project in such a way that I want to keep this project as an open source to the public. So anybody who wants to work with the calculator application, they can just download my project and use it in their own project. Okay, so let's see how that can be done. Okay, so first let's export it, export the project. So you need to right click on this and say export. And if it is a Java project, you need to remember it will be saved as a Java archive file. Jar is nothing but Java archive file. Okay, you need to click on this, say next, and you can just give the path where you want to save. So I'm just giving the desktop. Okay, let's give desktop, and here I will just give calculator underscore version 1. Okay, and say save and say finish. So you could see the project. This is the jar file which which I have exported as a project. So this is my project, right? So I have exported and it is saved as a jar file. And if you just observe this jar file, there is nothing installable with this particular jar file. So you can't just click on or install this particular jar so that your calculator application gets opened. Okay, there is nothing like that. Okay, the only way you can just import into some other project is you will have to use a build path. Okay, we will see that. So just understand there is nothing installable in this particular file. Like for suppose if I want to install Google Chrome, I can install it. But this is not the case because this is not a software. Okay, this is a Java file, Java archive file. Okay, it is not installable. Okay, so now what I will do, as I want this project to be created as an open source, I will just keep this particular jar file in my website so that anybody who wants to work with a functionality that I have created, they can download and use it. So how they can use it? Let's understand that. So for suppose as a Java developer in XYZ company, I have created this particular project. So now what I have done is like I have left this particular organization. Okay, left the organization. So now I have joined some other organization like MX company. Okay, and there I'm just working in some Citibank application. Okay, and this Citibank application for this particular account, I didn't join at the beginning itself. I just joined in the middle. Okay, so that means already the developers who are existing has developed certain methods, and what I was asked to do is just design a method for adding the salary. Let's think this is my requirement. So in this case, as I have left this particular organization, I will not have any access to this calculator project. So I'm just closing this particular project. Okay, I have closed this particular project. Okay, what I have done, I just right click and said close project. Okay, okay, and here earlier it is close project, and here as it is already closed, you could see open project. Okay, so now calculator application I can't access right now. So I just joined some other company and it has some other project called MX, and let's think. say finish, and here they have already implemented certain features, and they have a class called Citibank app with some main method. Okay, so they already have certain methods designed like public void, some profit, and similarly for the loss. And what I was asked to do, I was asked to do something related to add salary. Okay, so add salary. So if you just observe how you will add the salary, you will use some add functionality. And do you remember we have already implemented add functionality as a part of my previous project, that is calculator project in my previous company, right? In my XYZ company, I already designed a calculator application which is having the add functionality. So this particular add method can have some hundreds and thousands of code. Basically, in today's session, we have just given a print statement. But if you want to just do it on a real time, you will have some 100 lines of code inside this particular add feature, right? So it is the same add feature that I need to write over add salary method. So what should I do? One thing I can do is like I can again write all the 100 lines of code in my new project, in my MX project, and I can just call this particular add salary method. That is one case. And what is the smart case? Instead of writing all the 100 lines of code related to this particular add functionality, we know that this particular calculator application is present as an open source project on my website. So what I can do is like I can download that particular project into my system, local system. So I have downloaded that particular project, and what I can do is like in order to access the methods present inside this particular project, I can just say right click and say build path, add external archive. If I just say add external archive and select this particular calculator jar file, the features, everything, the methods which are present inside the calculator project, you can just import it. See, it has imported all the methods from my project, calculator project. Okay, and you can simply say if you want to design the add functionality, as we already have been designed this particular add functionality over here in my previous company, in the project previous project, I can just say create a object for this calculator. Okay, equal to new calculator. And where is it coming from? It is coming from the package. Which package? The first test package. So you need to import that. And as we want to use the add method, just say calc.add. So what did you do in this case? You didn't write your code again. You just used the existing method which is present in your open source project. All that you have done is like you have imported that particular jar into your current project. So this is nothing but API. concept. So as a part of API, what happens is like an API is something which will have the dedicated or already defined methods as well as classes inside it. And what you can do inside your new project, you can just use those methods and classes or interfaces inside your current project so that you don't need to repeat the code. Okay, you don't need to repeat the code and the implementation again. Okay, so here simply just by importing the this particular jar I could access the add feature, and if I want to just call this particular add salary, what I can do, I can create a object for this my class. Okay, like city equal to new Citibank, and I can say city dot add salary. Okay, if I just do that, just observe my code has been executed. Whatever code relevant to the add functionality that got executed. See, it is so simple. So in this case, what is an API? This calculator underscore v1 becomes the API for my current project. Okay. So similarly, if you want to work with Selenium, okay, let's see the Selenium website. Let's go to a Selenium website and see how the project is available. Okay, so go to downloads. Selenium.dev is the official website where you can download all the relevant concepts or relevant softwares from related to Selenium. Okay, and inside the downloads, here you could see latest stable version. And if you just click on this, see what is the file that is getting downloaded. It is a jar file, right? So it is similar to a calculator.jar. A jar file is being downloaded. Like I said, it is that's why called as an API. Selenium is not a tool which you are going to install on your machine. It is a library or a framework or an API. Okay, I hope you understood what is the meaning of an API for now. Okay, so what it will have? It will have all the methods being defined, and you can just use those methods inside your current project so that you can automate your website, whatever website you have. So here, if I want to import Selenium jar, it's the same process I follow, which I followed for the calculator. Right click, go to build path, add external archive, and say Selenium server, which is a jar file, and open. So now, if I want to work with the Selenium, it has certain classes. Like for the calculator project, I have a class like calculator. I have classes inside the Selenium also. These are packages, and inside these packages we have certain classes. Okay, one of the class for launching or working with Chrome browser is Chrome driver. Okay, Chrome driver is a class which is coming from Selenium. Okay, if you want to work with Chrome browser, you need to use this class. Driver equal to new Chrome driver. Okay, so here, like how I have created object for my class, it's the same thing I have done. As Chrome driver is a class available inside my Selenium, I have created this Chrome driver object. Okay, so now let's see if I run this particular statement, what happens. Okay, if you just observe just by writing this particular statement of object creation, you could see this particular Chrome browser has been launched. This I didn't launch myself, it has been launched as a part of my Ja- Java code execution. So you could see here also Chrome is being controlled by automated test software. Okay, so for suppose if I just give driver dot get, there are certain methods like get if you want to go to some URL. Okay, for suppose https colon slash slash gmail.com. Okay, see what happens. It has opened the browser, Chrome browser, and it has gone to the Gmail. Okay, because I gave the URL as gmail.com. So if you just observe this particular statement, just by giving this particular statement of an object creation, the browser has been launched. That means, what did you understand about this? The code related to the launching of the browser is written inside the constructor. So that's why even if you don't have any method being called, the Chrome browser has been launched. That means as a part of the constructor itself, they have written a code for the launching of the Chrome browser. Okay, like that, you can work with all the classes and methods which are present inside your Selenium rather than just writing your code again and again. Okay, you don't need to write a code for launching the browser because Selenium itself has provided a classes and methods relevant to the launching of the browser and going into the particular URL and getting the title of the URL. Like that, it has already predefined methods and classes. And what you are using, you are considering this Selenium as an API into your project and using them to automate your whatever website that you're working upon. Okay, so that is the introduction of Selenium as well as the automation testing. Okay, hope you enjoyed this particular session and understood whatever I have said. We will meet in the next session. Thank you, one and all. Have a nice day.